It's 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and where else would I be but here with you? DJ Stutz here at Little Heights Academy USA and Imperfect Heroes podcast. And I just want to let you know up front, I don't know where I'll be the next 2 Tuesdays. Well, I know where I'll be. I don't know if I'll have access to Wi-Fi or anything. I am going on vacation with my oldest son and his family. My husband's coming too. And we are going to Puerto Vallarta in Mexico. How fun is that? And so we get there next Tuesday. So I'll see if I have any Wi-Fi. The Tuesday after that, I'm on a plane at 7 o'clock our time. So I'll see what I can do. I might have to just let us or record something early, and then you can catch it, because I know I have so many people who are dying to hear all the cool things that I have to say. So there we are. I also wanted to let you know that I have a Cicerone Masters program that's available right now, and it's 4 modules. 5 lessons are in each module, and we're talking about the things that your kids are going to need to be successful in school. And so I know some schools are starting as early as like August 4th, and so maybe it's time for those early starters to you know start thinking about what's going on and how I can help my kids. So we're talking about all of the things that they need for those primary grades. So if they're in preschool on up through about 2nd grade, and we're talking about expectations for social emotional, and then what are they really needing and requiring? What are the expectations in class for kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade? And so if you're interested in that, you can always go to the website. It's www.littleheartsacademyusa.com and just hit Cicerone Masters, not the society, Cicerone Masters, and you'll get to see what's there for you and how you can learn to be more supportive and understand what it is that your child needs so that you can be there for them. So that's a lot of fun. Anyway, today, I am talking about this week's episode. It's awesome. Of course, it's always awesome. But it is episode 109, if you can even believe it. And it's with Lynne Bowman. Now, Lynne Bowman is a former model, and she's done screenwriting, she's done makeup artistry, she's an author, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of what this woman does. She is amazing. And so anyway, we are talking about Brownies for Breakfast. And yes, that's the name of her newest book. And I have this book, and so I really wanted to get her on. And it's exciting. It says that it's for, on the sub, it's for diabetics and for the people who love them. But it's really for everyone. I don't have any diabetics in my house, but I do have an interest in healthy foods and foods that are going to help me accomplish the things that I want to do, cognitively, physically, all of those things, and food that's good. And so there's a Brownies recipe in there, and it is awesome, and it's healthy enough. You don't have to feel guilty giving it to your kids for breakfast. And so there's no flour in it, and it is amazing. And so we talked a lot about, food, where it comes from, how to choose food, where to go to get the best food. But we also talked about the importance of having a meal at the table, and how we're starting to see going into college, and kids are starting to have interviews and stuff, that they'll go on these important meetings, business meetings, things, and they don't know how to properly use the utensils that are there in front of them. They don't know how to actually carry on a table conversation that is, appropriate for these kinds of situations, or even to dress appropriately for the occasion. And so we talked about some of those things as well. And we talked about what are we losing by not having time at the table. The kids are done eating, yeah, go. And I get it, but the reality is the kids need to learn how to stay and carry on an amazing conversation. And so some of the things that we talked about were that um, when you have traditional things that you start talking about and the kids know what to expect, and isn't that one of the things that I talk about a lot is kids really need to know what to expect in their lives. And so if they know that at the table I am going to be required to talk about and whatever it is. So I talk about the author Leo Buscaglia, who was a great author on relationships and how he is an Italian immigrant and immigrated when he was a kid, and his parents required all the kids at the dinner table to tell something that they learned new that day. It couldn't be something that they already knew. And so how they would be scrambling sometimes to find something to say at the table because Papa would expect it. And there are other things that we can talk about. What was the best thing that happened to you today? What was the hardest thing that happened to you today? Who did you help today? And then who helped you today, right? And you go around and so we talked about some of those topics that you can ask kids. But the reality is, if you're really wanting to keep the kids at the table, you need to engage them in the conversation, make them a part of it. And so talk about things that they're interested in, whether it's, Bluey, Ninja Turtles, dinosaurs, Frozen, whatever it is, talk about things that they're interested in and get them to engage and say things. And then if they ask a question, that's a great question. I wonder where we'd find the answer to that, right? And let them help you and understand that even moms and dads go places to find new things. But we want to engage their brains, we want to engage their relationships and uh, teach them how to have conversations so that when they get older and are growing up, they haven't just eaten out of a bag for most of their lives. They are actually sitting down. And I would say, I understand things get busy. And whenever you say yes to something, understand that you're saying no to something else. Whatever you would be doing with that time, if you hadn't said yes, you're saying no. And oftentimes it's the right thing. But is dinner time at the table together as a family really something that you want to give up for whatever it is? I would suggest that we want to make sure that we're having everyone together at the table at least 3 to 4 times a week. Those Sunday dinners can be great, um, and have those traditions going on, but you need to have it during the week as well, not just holidays, right? And we want to keep the kids at the table and to be able to talk to someone who isn't done eating yet and to understand how to use a fork. You know how much time teachers spend just teaching a kid how to hold a pencil properly, but you know they don't want to be shoveling it in. They will when they're babies, when they're younger, but as they grow older, and this actually will help them with their fine motor skills. And so they're able to write better and they're able to use small manipulatives and to put things together more easily because their fingers are stronger because they're using the proper muscles to develop those skills within their hands. So that's something to think about. Um, so another thing that she talked about is that, and this is a quote from her, and so I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure you got it. But she said, food is not just food. Food is love and sacrament and communication and all these things that you learn at the table when you're sharing food. And so, yeah, we don't want them to eat if they're not hungry, but we also want them to understand that we're going to try things, the take one bite rule. Hopefully you had that growing up. We did the take one bite rule, and then to just talk and to share those connections of the good things that happened and all of those things. And so there's really pomp and circumstance in a way of the table. There's the joy of being together and you know, the rush of things. Your teenage boys are going to gulp it down, but then they're still going to stay at the table, right? Because you've taught them from a young age that that's what we do. We sit, we talk, we share, we laugh, you know, we problem solve. We do all of these things at the table. And we can talk about, you know, sometimes it's good to know. We don't always need to know like what the second fork is for, or what is the fork for up on top of the plate towards the top, and how to properly set a table. But you know, if your family, if your kids wind up having a boss over for dinner or a coworker, you know, maybe they want to be able to set a table properly so that it looks nice and it shows respect for the people that you're having over. It's not that you're showing off, you're showing respect for those that you are having over. And that goes for our dress as well. You dress for the situation, and we're showing not to show off how cool I am and how marvelous I am, but we're dressing to show respect, the proper respect for the people that we are going to be with. And so another thing that we talked about is Lynn, teeny and tiny. I was so surprised. As teeny and tiny as she is diabetic. And so she has to be very careful with what she eats. But she has grown, you know, taking good care of herself. And she had a health issue with a pregnancy, and that drove her into the diabetes. But it's very interesting to look at what we are eating. And so she is really into healthy habits, working out, taking walks, you know, looking at nature and eating the right food, and how it really does matter what we eat. And so she actually talks about find as little food as possible at the grocery store. And if you can, if you've got in an area that has farmers markets, and I know a lot of those are seasonal. I know where I just moved to, they're not even up yet because uh, the harvest isn't there yet. And so they're not up yet very much. But so you want to eat fruit and vegetables that are in season and that they're real. They're like farm to table, farm to fridge, and eating the right things. And a lot of the stuff that we get from the grocery store, even when their fruits and vegetables have been treated with different things, and so they might not be as healthy as if you had a cherry tree in your backyard and you went and picked some, washed them off, and then ate fresh, and it tastes so much better. I mean, I don't know if you've had the chance, you know the difference between tomatoes out of the garden and the tomatoes that you get at the grocery store. Huge difference, so much more flavor. And it goes for all of that, carrots that come out of the ground. Plus, your kids are understanding where food comes from. And it was amazing. I saw a study that was recently out. In fact, it was just last week I saw it, that so many kids, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but I was appalled, didn't even know that apples come from trees. You don't get out of my kindergarten class without knowing apples come from trees. But there are, and that, you know, hamburger and steak come from cows, and where that food comes from. They don't know that potatoes actually grow under the ground. So do peanuts. And so they were completely unaware of food sources, how they grow, where they come from. And so it's really important, I think, for us to have an opportunity to take the kids out. If you're in the city, take the drive and go out to, you know, a farm on the outskirts of town or out of ways, and pick food in their season. Grow a garden if you can, and really, even if you've just got that little patio outside the apartment, there are things that you can do, and you can research it. There's all kinds of stuff. You need to look at things that are in your area, because growing a patio garden in Texas is going to be very different than growing one in Bozeman, Montana, right? So you need to really pay attention to where you are, what the rules are, what's available, and how things grow, what to grow. But you can do it, and kids start seeing where their food sources come from. I truly believe that this is going to become more and more important as we move along in society in the directions that we are heading. And so, we talk about how if you're eating fruit and you think it's fresh fruit, but it's coming from South America or Mexico, and it's not in season, that means they've treated it with chemicals and stuff to keep it from going bad. And so you're losing a lot of the nutritional value, but then you're also adding the negative aspects or consequences of the chemicals that they're putting on there. And so it's a fun conversation. And so I've been posting a little bit about the podcast and with Lynn and what she is saying about the importance of having our kids at the table, learning to talk, where we're getting our food, how we put it together. And so one of the recipes that she has in her book is called Cowgirl Caviar. And I know some people say, oh, I know it as cowboy caviar. Well, she has a granddaughter. But it was so much fun because when I had my grandkids here a couple weeks ago, and they are 5 and 7, and we made it all together, and they're helping cut up, the peppers and the tomatoes, and we were the avocado and the mango and all that stuff, and we were talking about, oh, I like this, oh, I don't like that, and we just had a lovely time with that. And there's like the world's greatest popcorn, and gosh, what else have I made? Oh, a granola that is healthy and not filled with chemicals and sugars and all of that stuff. Super good, super fun. And so I hope that you will check it out and go to the podcast. And now remember too, we're on Rumble and we are on YouTube. So if you want to see me on Rumble, the channel is Imperfect Heroes. If you want to see me on YouTube, all you have to do is look for Little Hearts Academy USA. Either way, just look for DJ Stutz and you're going to find me. So next week, and since I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk to you next week is a solo episode. And I have so many people that want to be on the podcast that I'm actually booked through the end of the year. But I saved a couple just so that I could talk to you, because I feel like sometimes, I miss out on those conversations, and I miss talking to families and to parents and engaging with kids. So next week, I'm talking about something that I really think is important, and it is, does language really matter? When we're talking to our kids, when our kids are communicating, how important is language in the life of our kids? What's exciting is that I have a children's book that will be coming out before the end of the year. It's called Roman is Bigger, and it's a book about language and finding the right word to express how you truly feel. And so it's kind of all connected to that. And so that'll be next week is when you'll be able to listen to that. This week, though, brownies for breakfast. Don't miss it. And maybe I'll see you next week. But until next time, let's find joy in parenting. Bye, guys.